Why are some people simply happier than others? Yes, you know you have the answer we discussed earlier that tells us 50% is genetic, 10% in life is just circumstances, and 40% is left to us to do whatever we want to do with it. But did you know that number one predictor of happiness, based on multiple research, is social relationships? People who maintain many good social relationships are simply happier than those who do not. And that means all relationships, from your family, friend, partners, strangers as well, and everyone else. We want people's help and count on them when the things go wrong. Did you know that it is as important that we count on people when things go right? Well, this is a positive psychology, my friends, so we focus on what's right with us rather than what's wrong with us. In her famous research paper, "Will you be there for me when things go right?" Dr. Shelley Gable shows that it is extremely important that we get and give support when things go right and not only when things go wrong. See, for those of you who want to learn even more, I attached Dr. Shelley's research paper for your reference. And as I said, you will see more references throughout the program for some of you that want to go even deeper. So let me explain with a real-life example that many of us can probably associate with. You can also think of similar example to fully understand this research. But so imagine you get home. Imagine you get home with the great news and you say, "I just got promoted." Right? It's a great news. You tell to your partner, "I just got promoted." And your partner, of course, has a comment to this news, but for some of you younger folks and many without partner, you can simply imagine your parents, colleague, a roommate, anyone. Just come into someone with, "I just got promoted." So how would you respond if somebody gave you this good news? How do you think your partner would respond, your friend, your colleague, to your great news, "I just got promoted"? Dr. Gable describes there are really 4 ways that we could react to news like this. And there is something that she calls, it could be constructive and destructive response. So something that she calls active constructive response, or ACR. And somebody may just respond, "Really? Tell me more. How did you hear that news? What will be new? Just let's talk." So that's active constructive responding. You are excited about your partner's news. You want to know more. You want to show that you fully support your partner and your colleague and so on. Now, there could be passive response. So active passive response, such as, "That sounds good." Show a little emotion and just say, that sounds good. So it's not bad response, but it's not that active constructive response that we really looking for. So it could be active deconstructive. And your partner or your colleague will say, "Well, that means that you'll be away from home more. Are you sure you've thought about it?" Not really sure if you give that news that that's the answer you want to hear. And then it could be also really passive, destructive passive response, such as you come in and you say, "Oh, I've got the great news today. I just got promoted." And your partner or your friend, your colleague says, "Can we talk about what happened to me today?" Not really what you want to hear, right? Another research done by Dr. John Gottman, who studied relationships for the past 30 years, Dr. John Gottman and his wife. It shows that he was able, with more than 90% accuracy, 90%, he was able to predict if the couple will get divorced only by watching their like 10 minutes or so interactions. Now imagine that the interaction was recorded and then it was analyzed. People couldn't believe, but his research on thousands of couples proved this accuracy. Just incredible. He was able to predict 90% of time divorce just by watching a couple for 10 minutes of interactions. But wait, right? This is not it. Remember we said we want to discuss what's right with people rather than what's wrong with people? Well, John Gottman was really interested, like I said, in face-to-face dynamic interaction, and that was his famous study that, again, got young couples, 75 people or so. That's the old study, and brought them, actually, to give you a little more research based background, brought them into the lab and had them engage in normal conversation. So they followed these couples for like few decades. And I'm going to tell you a few reasons first. Why do these people get divorced? And then we're going to get into the positive side of this. So number one, bad behavior. Bad behavior, contempt. When you look down on your partner, when you make that noise, etc. Number two was criticism. Trying to find a fault in a partner, whatever partner do, and the other person just tries to find some fault. Number three was stonewalling. We already talked about this. There's no reason to talk about it again. Just, throw it over the wall. No reason to talk. Number four was defensiveness. And when all these four happen, there was a 92% chance that couple will get divorced. So John decided to do something that aligned with positive psychology. Since he was so good predicting the breakup, could he be that good to predict couple will stay together and help them stay together, right? So now we're focusing on what's wrong with people. We know, or he knew, 90%, more than 90% of time that they will get divorced if these four things happen. But now let's see how we can help them together, to help them stay together and not get divorced. So he wanted to know now, what is it that makes long-lasting marriages? And here's what he came up with. Successful marriages are characterized with a positive to negative interactions. Now, do you remember from Barbara Fredrickson, we talked about positive to negative interactions and with the happy people, and if you recall, it was a 3-to-1. Well, John Gottman, in a couple, he came up with the positive to negative interactions ratio is 5-to-1. Again, 5 positive interactions to 1 negative. So again, that could be, in a discussion where you have 5, it can actually happen so quickly in a couple of minutes, in a minute conversation, you can have few positive and 1 negative and so on. But you understand what I mean. There was a 5 positive interactions versus 1 negative. And if it's 5-to-1 or higher, this couple stayed together. Their marriage was really, really good marriage. So what makes happy romantic partnership? Now, this is based on the work from Helen Fisher from Rutgers University. Rutgers, here, not far from where I live in Princeton. Not Princeton University, Rutgers University. So anyway, in most culture they study. So most people will enter into some kind of long-term partnership. So partnership changed over time. We know that it changed from like economic to love. And 40 to 50% marriages ended, ending up ending in US, which is really very alarming. So it's something that we want to, look into the science and see what we can do to keep our relationships. And again, work from John Gottman will certainly help. But what makes happy marriage romantic partnership? From early study, we know that there is a benefit of partnership in relation to happiness. And there was a study that shows that, married people are happier. But we're really not sure that what exactly happened. Is it that because happier people are getting into marriage and therefore their partnership in that case is makes, you know, happy couple, that's very possible. And maybe that, you know, rather than, you know, happy people just get involved into the partnership. So there is more research that we need to do to truly understand this. We also know that older you are, you know, when you get married, happier you are in relationships, generally. Certainly we know that couples who were married 25, 30 years and get divorced, but generally, as you go, your relationships will get better.